is dash, is dash, is dash, is dash, is dash. What is that?
Welcome back. It's the return of the video review from Vossistas. Been a very quiet year for Vossistas last year, apart from on the label side. But you know, 2020 was a shit year, wasn't it? There's no doubt about it. And I've got to say, the reviews and writing fell by the wayside. There was a lot of change and flux in the life, and it's hard to keep up on stuff like that. Plus all the weirdness in the world. So we're January 2021, and I recently did my end of year list. And my top 10 end of year list, I hadn't even reviewed all of those, which is a bad sign. So I'm flipping back to one of those. It's a Nurse with Wound Trippin music. It was really a triple vinyl, of course, but this is a nice double CD edition that's been released. Now, one thing to mention is that this one has been analog only. Well, I suppose CDs ain't analog, but there's no downloads. There's no streaming or anything for this release. And no explanation given either. Why should there be? You know, you can mouth off for you, like, actions speak louder than words. I think, like most artists, Steve's probably just sick of not getting paid. Because, I mean, streaming, what was it? Gary Newman said he got about 27 quid for one of his hits off streaming plays. Probably fair to say then that Nurse with Wound ain't getting a limousine off the back of Spotify. Now, it's a wild ride, this one. The tracks have got no names. I think the idea was originally built for vinyl, and it's like, I don't know, 2 tracks on each side or something like that. And of course, with a name like Trippin music, it gives you an idea, may notice what's going on. An old guy, a busy guy, don't have time for those kind of experiences. So something like this gives you a chance to live through maybe someone else's psychedelic experiences. It's rather handy. Not that you would ever call Nurse with Wound hippie dippy nonsense or anything like that. Far from it. There's always been a weird, uncomfortable edge to their music. No matter how hallucinatory it gets, it has the strangeness of a, well, maybe a negative drug experience, you could say, perhaps. All the pieces on here have got quite a different style, but it's definitely one you would lump in into their more like digital minimalist works. There isn't a symphony of squeaks going on this one, or intricate vocals. It's stripped down to the bone and bare, but all the way before it. We're going to skip ahead to the next track. What track 2 is simply the name. You see again, it's one of those that sneaks in. I mean, there's little moments there. I remind a little bit of the weirdest moments of the Radiophonic Workshop, but taken from tiny little snippets, which, you know, they were just little indents for the workshop, turned into big, long, widescreen symphony? Psychedelic symphony? Minimalist? Twisted? Psychedelic symphonies? Thinking I'm hitting kind of oxymoron territory now, or at least babbling territory. Indeed, with the plan making digital only, maybe in some ways I'm crapping up the plan with my video reviewing over here on YouTube. But much as I love and adore Nurse with Wound, by God, when you sit down with a pen and paper and try to describe what you're hearing, bloody impossible. I've written reviews of this music before, and I've been absolutely miserable about every single review I've written. It's a lot much easier here with the show and tell format with the music. I mean, you see me just make word farts trying to describe this. Not really doing much of a good job. I mean, right here, I mean, there's almost a melody in there, and yet buried reverberated so thick and a nice tune, and then twisted it through time, manipulated it. It's rather like you put on a regular record and you have been dosed. You are the drugs. We're gonna hop ahead. I've lost my buttons. So long. I don't normally hit skip buttons. It's one of the things I hate most about CDs, the idea of, oh, we'll just skip this track, you know, hitting that button. That low concentration bullshit. Obviously, when I'm listening to this album, when I'm listening to CDs, I ain't ever hitting those buttons. I'm deep diving, or until I get interrupted by life. There's other ideas. Now here we are getting into the very, very epically odd stuff. I mean, could you imagine listening to this in a heavily altered state? I probably think the world was coming to an end. It does have that otherworldly intensity of a strong experience down that lark, or so this old guy's memory thinks. If you hear the sound of a singing child, that ain't this wood, that is actually a singing child. She is quite surreal though, so she does possibly fit into the mix too convincingly. She's currently trying to feed plant leaves to the doodles, who are too busy wrestling. If I point my camera over there, it'd probably be way more interesting. A lot of these tracks fade in as well. I don't like that. But the biggest fade in is that first track. And every time I press play on this CD, I think I've forgotten to press play. And I used the term minimalist earlier, but this is pretty chunky stuff. Hey, stop feeding them leaves. That's weird. They don't love leaves. They're dogs, not giraffes. Well, the height of giraffes. I'd call this one actually kind of beautifully weird. There's a good big plonk of every song. And if you get sort of great sound system, it really does kind of sound like the walls of your mind collapsing in. I forget how many tracks are on these CDs, because I tend to zone out to it a little bit and not keep track. Have we finished the... No, there's another track quietly, slowly fading in. If only there was a way to, well, it is what it is. I think you can learn a lot about tracks and their intros, yeah? Yeah, you really have to have the whole song for the whole experience, but the intro is such a nice trailer, teaser, to what the song is going to grow into and evolve into. And another thing about this album, I think it hits more extremes than Nurse of Wound have done in quite a long time. You know, there's a lot of very limited releases that go on, and then some bigger releases. I think it's been my favourite release of theirs for a long time. Not that I've not enjoyed everything I've heard lately. But this one feels more landmark. I mean, maybe the fact that there's no download and no streaming makes it a little more special in itself. The fact that there's no going into an app on your phone, no downloading it off Bandcamp and having the files on your computer to play into speaker. This is just, you go there, it's totally analog, you go make the effort, you go pop it in the player, get started and sail away on it. There's one track on here, I think of almost ungodly strangeness. I've seen people on Facebook, Nurse of Wound groups going, has anyone actually tried tripping to Trippin music? And like, even the people that do it all the time, like, no. And people going, I wonder what that track would be like. And most people going, I don't want to find out. I dare. Good words. Yeah, it's like someone's taken a song and just molded it like skipping again. There's an indescribable air of menace in there, as there is to all of those own stuff. And I even suspect it's completely unintentional. Like the artist's intentions are to make something wonderfully psychedelic and to reflect the wonderful experiences that they've had. But it just gets the bejesus out of everyone, and that's a good thing.